Shalom, everyone. Today, I would just like to share. I ran across this book called, and I just started doing a little study. And the title of the book, and I just accidentally, I normally go to this website. Um, it's called WW. What is it called? Oh my God! It's a website. I'll give it to you at the end. I'll find it at the end. But let me start with this little short, brief um, video I want to do. And I just read, like I said, I just ran across it by mistake, and I just started doing some other digging and researching. So, anyways, if you're looking at the screen right now, it says the Hebrews and the decline of the Orient, section 27. It says Palestine and the predecessors of the Hebrews. There goes on to say that the home of the Hebrews was on the west end of the Fertile Crescent, in a land now called Palestine. It is the region lying along the southeast corner of the Mediterranean, a narrow strip between desert and sea. For while the sea limit it on the west, the waste of the desert bay sweeps northward, forming the eastern boundary of Palestine. It says there's a map here, but I don't want to go and look for the map. I'm going to show you another map here. It was about 150 miles long and less than 10,000 square miles, or include included within these limits. That is, Palestine was southward, larger, was somewhat larger than the state of Vermont. I don't know if that's larger, big. I don't know how big Vermont is. This goes on to say, much of the area is unproductive, for the desert intrudes upon southern Palestine and rolls northward in gulfs and arid limestone hills, even surrounding Jerusalem. Um, the valley northern Palestine, however, down here, are rich and let me do something here. I think this is 197, 198. Okay, let's do this. I'm sorry. And this is 190, 199. Okay. So with valley northern right here, the valley of the northern Palestine, however, are rich and productive. The entire land is about without summer rain and is dependent upon rainy season for moisture. So this is in the desert, right? This there is no opportunity for irrigation, and the harvest is therefore scattered then in land enjoying summer rain. So I want to show you the map. Here's right here. So this is Palestine here. That's where this is Canaan. So this is Canaan. So there was Hamites tribes here. So about 30 descended from Ham, and it's right here. Sahara Desert, because it's talking about the land, how it was dry and everything. So we know it's in the hot desert, right? And then you have Shem over here, Shem here in Arabia Desert, still a hot area. Then you have Japhite, the Gentiles here. Nimrod came from these descendants, right? He became a mighty warrior. He was an African. He built Nineveh and Babel. So you see Cush here, Ludum is just his descendants here, right? Now we know that Shem is the Israelites, which is Yeshua came from that line, Shem, and also Abraham, um, Isaac, and Jacob. It says that Japheth had 14 descendants, but I was looking in my study Bible. It doesn't show what Shem was. Shem line was kind of long too, because Aram, Mash, Ophir, Ashur, Oz, Peleg. Um, these names come from Shem. Now, the ancient name for Eber is Ever, Ever people, and they were melanated people of color. They weren't black, meaning that black is just a color. God dealt with nations. You were called by your nation, not by some made up skin color. We are Shemitic people from the line of Shem. Ham was a cousin. They were brothers, I mean. Ham and Japheth. And all three was men of color. Now they say that Abraham was, not Abraham, but Noah was, or albino. We know that albinos run through Africa for centuries. And we know that you can have an albino father and he can have all his kids can be dark, pitch black. So, anyways, I digress. I just want to show you the map that um, this book is talking about. This ancient book. Let's talk about the ancient history. So, we're describing Canaan, Palestine is what it was describing. I just showed you the map. Still said it was describing Canaan. The entire land was summer rain. It talks about how the much of the area is unproductive, for the desert intrudes upon southern Palestine and rose northern and Gulf. So again, we're talking about this desert land where they resided before they took over during Joshua. They didn't actually. I think the Bible is saying they didn't fully take over during the time of Joshua. But the ones that they did conquer, they conquered them, and the ones they did conquer, they made them. They became slaves. They made a agreement to be their slaves. So they were still fighting them at that time, even after Joshua, I think too. So let's go back with the article. So it says here. So I'm looking at this. So I'm gonna show you something here. I'm going back right here. So you see this picture here, and this picture here. It says here that the ancient Egyptian painting of a backyard with Asiatic captives engaged in brick making, 15th century BC. It says the Hebrew slaves was working in the Egyptian brickyard at the bottom here. Yeah. The Hebrew slaves were working in Egyptian brickyard. You see that in Exodus 14 and 6 through 19. Must have looked like this when Moses led them forth into Asia. They were Afro-Asiatic people because they were from Africa, North Africa Pacific, specifically. It says at the left below here, talking about there, at the left below, the soft clay is being mixed in with piles. One laborer helped load a basket of clay on the shoulders of another who carried to the brick molder. Make it here, put it on top of his back. You see how they kind of like lighten it up? Because I'm going to show you the color. They've been lighting up here. They do that, y'all. It's like, even with this picture here, but I digress. Let me go on. So describing them here. It says, shoulders of another who carried to the brick molder at the right above, right here. Then this is the slave master. It says, here's a laborer emptying the clay from the basket while the molder before him fill it with clay on oblong box, which is the mold. He has already finished three bricks. At the left above, a molder spreads out of the soft brick with spaces between for the circulation of the air to make them dry quickly to the sun. The seer, the overseer, the overseer staff in hand sits in the upper right hand corner. Here it is right here. This is the overseer with his little stick there. It says the overseer staff in hand sits in the upper right hand corner, and below him we see a workman carrying away the dry bricks hanging from a yoke on his shoulder. Thus were made the bricks used for thousands of years for the building, forming to a large part of the city of ancient world. They were builders just like our ancestors were builders. Our ancestors, they were builders, and when they took us from Africa, and a specific place in Africa was the slave coast. It wasn't the Gold Coast. It was the slave coast, is where they took us from, which we call the land of the blacks, or the land of the Ewe people, or the land of the Hebrews, bottom line. But I want to show you something before I'm looking at these two pictures here. It's just I hate when my laptop been acting crazy, but bear with me. So I wanted to show you something here. Here's the same picture he was showing how they was making the bricks. See how they lighten up the colors in some of these photos? That's just so wicked. Even you look down here, look at the different it's just wicked. Just wicked. And you when you click on some of these photos, it's like I'm not gonna go there because they I'm just not gonna go there. So I digress. Let me go to the next photo. Now remember this one where they show them on the left hand corner taking in their cattle and their children and stuff. And these are Egyptian here, and these are Hebrews. I actually one even darker than that. Look, over time they keep lighting up these pictures. I typed in Hebrews making bricks, and it gave me a whole bunch of white folks making bricks. And we know that they were in the land of Canaan. They were in the land of Canaan, which is located in the Sahara Desert among the Hamites. Remember when Joseph and Mary fled in Africa? This is where they went. Even over here, the Arabian desert, still a hot desert. Cush, Lower Egypt, it's called Lower Upper and Lower Egypt. I think the Nubian was the lower. Anyways, it was Upper and Lower Egypt. So, anyways, let's go back to the article. An article about the book. So this is not going to be long. I just thought I'd share some things and share. You may want to go online and try to find this book. Um, so hold on for a second. I'm going to get that website. But yeah, they um, they love to change. Um, what they do is they conquer lands, They try to genocide the people. They assume the civilization and call it their own. They do it all over the world. Been doing it for centuries. For centuries. Centuries. So I don't know how they can. I don't know how they think that they can just hide stuff forever. Yeshua said everything that's been hidden will be uncovered. So this is revelation, revealing of truth in these last days. It really is. So actually, you can go to the is www.internet.archive or just says archive.org. So go to archive.org, archive.org, and the title of the book. Let me get that again. The title of the book was Ancient Times: A History of the Early World. And I just, like I said, I ran across this just by mistake. So let me try to read a little more of this. Okay, so it goes on to say here when they was making them for thousands of years, the overseer, staff in hand, so forth. Then it goes on and says, the northern end of the Palestine coast has any harbors, but these were early seized by the Phoenicians. Palestine had remained cut off from the sea and natural resources. It was too poor ever to develop prosperity or political power like its great civilized neighbors and the Nile, the Euphrates or the Syria and Phoenicia. And we know the Nile River, majority of people living in that area was Nubians, Cushites. Okay, now we're gonna it's gonna show a photo here. It's just tripped me out what they be trying to goes on to say. I want to go over here because I highlighted something. It says here at the west end of the first crescent, as at the end, the Semite nomads from the desert bay. We read section 13. Mingle with the dwellers in the northern mountains. Um, the northern chiefly Hittites from Asia Minor, and the Hittites, again, the Hittites were Hamites. See what it says Hittites right here. That's the Canaan or Canaanites because there were 30 descendants. So they were black African tribes, Hittites, Hamites, Sahara Desert. There were no Shem, there were no Shemites or Japhites, they were Hamites. Although all sons were melanated. Don't let these Western writers tell you that Noah had a Chinese, a black, and a white child, a white male, three sons, but they all was different nationalities. That's ludicrous. But that's what they do. Come up with that crap. They don't care what they come up with. They just write it. This is a prominent aquiline nose. Checking about the nose. So let's go back here. It says here at the west end of the Fertile Crescent, as at the east end, the Semitic nomads from the desert bay mingled with the dwellers in the northern mountains. The northern chief Hittites from Asia left their marks of the Semites of Palestine. The prominent aquiline nose, still considered to be the mark of a Semite, especially of the Jews, was really a feature belonging to the non-Semite Hittites who intermarried with the people of Palestine and gave them the Hittite types of faces. Shem was a Negro, what they call a Negro today, and Ham. They were both melanated people. They were not Caucasians. Caucasian was living in no desert in that kind of heat. They can't survive. Their melanated skin don't have any melanated skin. I mean, their skin can stand that. That's why JFAC. Look at this. Where JFAC resided at. I'm gonna show you. JFAC right here. That's up in the mountains. by the Caspian Sea. It may got a little sun, but not that much. Not like the Sahara Desert and the Arabian Desert. These are hot ass places right here. So this is what is up in this area right here in the mountains. That's Esau, Asganaz, Japheth, Magog, Gomer, Russia. What other places around there? Poland. Stop the madness. Just going to say here that Hittite faces, strange faces from many of foreign times, therefore crowded the market place of Palestine. Well, yeah, I agree. It wasn't they you were raping them too. Talking about just mixing with them, like they didn't take it over. Nah, strange faces from many of the foreign climes, therefore crowded the market places of Palestine amid a babel of various dialects. Yeah. Here, the rich jewelry, bronze dishes, and ivory furniture of the Nile craftsmen. We know the Nile Valley, Chad, Niger, um, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, all that's in the Nile River. That's over there in the Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert. Mingled with the pottery of the Aegon Island and red earthware of Hittites, or the gay woolen of Babylonian. And it goes on to talk about the donkey and so forth. Um, the strange faces from many of the foreign climes, therefore, crowded the marketplace of Palestine amid a babel of various dialects. Here, the rich jewelry, bronze dishes, and ivory furniture of the Nile craftsmen mingle with the pottery of the Agon island, the red earthware of the Hittites, or the gay woolen of the Babylonian, the donkey headpiece, which lift their complaining voices above the hubble of the mark, both Nile and Euphrates. Let me do something right quick. I'm sorry. I want to find something. Go back here. Let me try. Oops, go back here. So let me try to share this. So here is, it's kind of hard to see that. I was trying to see if I can enlarge it. But you can see Egypt here, Israel, Jordan, Saudi. But Egypt over here, this is hot desert. In fact, so is Israel. Israel is just on the border or Titanic plate. Um, Actually, Israel is in Northeast Africa. There's no such thing as Middle East. They created that in 1869, November 1869, when they created this Suez Canal, and it was to separate Israel, which is in Northeast Africa, from the rest of Africa. That was the purpose. It's just that this is just the way they try to rewrite history, y'all. That's the really frustrating part. When you start digging and researching this stuff, it really makes you angry because you're sitting around. I sat around for years not knowing that I was living a lie, as if I'm in a matrix, a matrix, like that movie. It's annoying when you start really, and the more you dig, the more you find. It's like, oh my goodness, sometimes I have to get off this computer and just walk around and scream because I was all this time in my fault because I didn't do my own research, just believing what they say. Just because they have the pen and the power to write it, then you believe it. And they've done so much damage. They can't unwrite what they've written. That's why they have to continue to lie and try to cover up. But the Most High is revealing truth, and they're going to have to answer for every lie they told and every individual that they have misled. They're going to have to answer to the Most High God. There's a creator they're going to have to answer to. So, anyways, I'm going to end this. I'm going to continue to read this. There's some really interesting stuff in here. So, but it's just so sad how they have just lied like they've done. It's just a shame. It says down here, check this out. It says Palestine was the entrance to the bridge between Asia and Africa, Afro-Asiatic, a middle ground where the civilization of Egypt and Babylon of Phoenicians and Argon and Asia Minor all represent by their wars, is that one of wares, met and commingled, comming, commingled as they did somewhere else in the early Orient. Of course, there was a lot of mixing. There was a lot of invasions too. That's why Israel was always fighting off them Hamites, you know, because they were trying to take over their land, what was given to them by the Most High. You know, you know. Uh, over here to the right here it says figure 122 brick storehouse rooms thought to have been built by Hebrew slaves in Egypt, 13th century. Let's see what that is. Oh, right here. So it says the settlement of the Hebrews in Palestine and the United Hebrew Kingdom. It says the Hebrews were all original men of Arabia Desert, wandering with their flocks and herds and slowly drifting over into their final home in Palestine. So they left from Arabia to Palestine. So this is what they're saying here. Okay, so let's see here. From Arabia to here, he's saying they from Arabia to Palestine, and this is Palestine here. Canaan. This is Palestine. Canaan and Palestine is the same thing. It was called Canaan before it's called Palestine. So it's saying that they left from the Arabia Desert over to Palestine, which would be a walk. Didn't have to take no ships. All they had to do was walk. So let me go back to the article because that's what it says. It says the Hebrews were all original men of Arabian desert, wandering with their flocks and herds and slowly drifting over into their final home in Palestine for 2 centuries. Um, their movement from the desert to Palestine continued as another group of their tribes had been slaves in Egypt, where they had suffered much hardship under Pharaoh. Under Pharaoh, I'm going to show you the Pharaoh they're talking about. Under Pharaoh, they were successfully led out of Egypt by the heroic leader Moses, a great national hero who achievement they never forgot. The On entering Palestine, the Hebrews found the Canaanites already dwelling there in flourishing towns. Of course, there was 30 some tribes, a descendant, protected by massive walls. The Hebrews were able to capture only the weaker Canaanite towns, as the rough Hebrew shepherds looked across the highlands of the North Palestine. They beheld their kindreds scattered over far-stretching hilltops with the founding walls of many Canaanite strongholds. Rising between them, even Jerusalem in Judea highland for centuries defied the assaults of the Hebrews invaders. Let us remember these unconquered Canaanite towns now possess a civilization 1,500 years old. Now, this is the so-called the Hebrew adopted Canaanite civilization acquired Hittite types of faces. So this Hittite, this is an African. Now they're trying to, it's almost like they're trying to say that the Hebrews was a different type of people, which were quote unquote Caucasian people. That's the way I'm taking it and looking at today too. History they're trying to rewrite, but they were already melanated people, and they probably did acquire some of the features because they were cousins. They're married among their own people. So it was natural for them to marry and among the Canaanites, which is from Ham, because Shem was was Ham's brother. So they were cousins, and they mingled together, marry their wives, the women marry them. Um, the same agriculture, they're agriculturist people, herders, so they're the same line of people. When it come down to marrying their cousins, some distant cousins, they married among their cousins. That was known. So, anyways, I'm going to probably go ahead and get off here because I want to read some more of this. I will just share as I read. So it says, Mommy of Ramses II, commonly thought to be the pharaoh who enslaved the Hebrews. It says, for the account of the preservation of the bodies of the king of Egypt, Ramses II died about 122, 1225 BC. That is over 3,100 years ago. He was about 90 years old. It was probably he who treated the Hebrews so cruelly as told in Exodus. So this is a brother, a mean looking brother. Put some meat on that skin. You're going to have a big nosed brother with some lips and those high cheekbones, which is known among Hamitic people. Um, so, yes, I think I'm going to go ahead. I would love to read more of this, but I just want to do some more research on it so I can just maybe share some more because this is really interesting. Like I said, I just ran up on this book like online PDF like by mistake. I guess nothing is a mistake, but anyway, I'm glad I did. So anyway, I thought I would share that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this short, and I say shalom and hope you enjoyed this little presentation.